Hi, this is Jason from Horrific Nightmares, and it's time for another positive spin. Now, today we're going to be talking about the reboot of Power Rangers. Now, I know little to nothing about Power Rangers. My daughter used to watch it when she was a little kid, and when the movie came out in the early 90s, we did take her to see it. Um, it was okay. I mean, I didn't hate it, but I think I might have been too old for it at the time. Well, we actually did get a request to talk about the new Power Rangers, and I picked this up and watched it with Joe. So let's put a positive spin on Power Rangers. This gets started right away. I love the cast in this. You have Bryan Cranston playing the um, Zordon, which is pretty cool. You have to bear with me with these names because I'm not as familiar with Power Rangers as maybe Joe or even my daughter, for that matter. Oh, the cast is fantastic. You have Elizabeth Banks as Rita, and of course Bryan Cranston as Zordon, and you also have Bill Hader as I think he was Alpha Five. I like the characters that play as Power Rangers. It's nice to see their backstories, and Joe, having a friend and watching this with a friend who is more familiar with the Power Rangers, I can see how the differences were without really going into all the seasons like he did. Now these characters, of course, had problems. They weren't straight A students. They weren't the best kids in the world, but it was these kids having to band together in order to become the Power Rangers to save Earth. It's cool to see how they get their stones, or they called them stones in this. I think they were like their sign because it had their color in there. The effects are absolutely amazing. This has a lot of CGI with it, but it's done like a superhero film where the CGI is, I mean, it's really good looking. It's really fantastic. The humor lands in this. I was actually surprised. The relationship between the kids when they kind of goof on each other and, you know, have witty dialogue or witty banter between them, it actually lands and it works. The upside down other world is really cool. Of course, this is going to go into spoilers. They had to fall in this mountain crevice where they were in this pool, and on the other side of the pool was the world where they were Power Rangers. I can't remember the name of the planet. Alpha 5 is really cool. As I said, his voice was done by Bill Hader. And while he drove me crazy, because I do remember him in the original Power Rangers movie that I took my daughter to see, always going, ay, 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 ay. It just drove me absolutely nuts. He did do it a couple times in this one, but probably as an homage to the original series and the original character. Zordon is neat looking. He's kind of got those pins in his face where they're like desktop things where you can put your hand there and it leaves an impression of your hand. And I think that's really cool. I can't remember how it was in the original Power Rangers because, I mean, that was a long time ago and I took my daughter to see it, you know, in the theaters. Actually, we both did, my wife and I. The Zeo Crystal is an interesting premise. Again, spoiler territory, but they have to locate the different parts of the Zeo crystals that are hidden on each planet. And that's what the bad guy has to do in order to rule everything. So, really cool premise in this. Elizabeth Banks is fantastic as Rita. She plays a really good bad guy, and I think this might have been the first time I've seen her play a bad guy or a bad girl in any of the movies that I've seen her in. The references to Spider-Man and Iron Man is fun because I'm a Marvel fan. Been a Marvel fan all my life. So, referencing the fact that they're going to be superheroes by being Power Rangers and then referencing the Marvel characters is really cool. Training with the putties, I think Joe called them the Putty Patrol, but training with the fake putties was funny. Like I said, the humor lands, and I thought it was really a cool thing to look at. Um, this has a bit of horror in it, and actually, Elizabeth Banks' character Rita was known as a serial killer called the Golder. I think the Golder Killer or something like that, because she was after gold. The uniforms are amazing, and I do agree with what Joe said when we were talking back and forth. He said, I like that it takes an hour and a half to get to the uniforms because it's that build up to where you really want to see them. And they do not disappoint. They are fantastic looking. I remember the original Power Rangers because, of course, my daughter had some of the toys. And I remember her watching the show. And like I said, we took her to the movie. And, the costumes were cool, but these were just awesome. Absolutely awesome. The Zords are cool. Those are the vehicles that the Power Rangers drive that are like one's a plane, one's a dinosaur. Really cool. And this was something I had no idea about. Joe had to explain it to me, but I get it because I used to watch a cartoon that was very similar. Now, they made the Megazord, and it looked really cool in order to fight the monster that Rita um, conjured up. And for me, it was kind of like Voltron with the lions and all that, which is a cartoon I used to watch when I was a kid. Um, and it looks so cool. I mean, of course, it's done in CGI, but it was done very well. Now, what Joe told me, and they kind of alluded to it in this film, is that we were supposed to get a franchise of the Power Rangers, and it never took place because this movie didn't do well. I don't understand it. My problem with the Power Rangers from years ago, watching it with my daughter, like I said, I didn't hate it, but it felt like it was dumbing it down for the kids. This was actually not dumbing it down at all. This was a fantastic movie. It was very well done, and I'm really glad I have it in my collection and that I watched it with Joe. And that's been my positive spin on the Power Rangers. Don't forget to check out Joe's positive spin, and if you like what you see in here, hit that like button and subscribe. And until next time, peace.